their turnovers in the second, us not shooting the ball straight, they took advantage of that.
And then, you know, with you guys' three-point shooting, did you think you got good looks? I mean, just what do you think of the overall quality of the shots?
Yeah, I thought we got looks. I thought Hardy gave us a spark. You know, he came in and took some great looks at three, made one of them. You know, we're driving the ball. We're the team that's going to get to paint rim tonight. We just didn't capitalize on that.
Do you have any interest in getting your three-point up, or is it about the area that you want it to be at?
Oh, we would love to get it up. But, you know, we got to be able to, you know, shoot the ball straight. You know, we missed a layup or two, and then on the other end, they capitalized and made threes. So for us, we got to be able to finish the plays, but then also defend the three. But I think for us, you know, being able to shoot the three is something that we have to continue to look at.
How did Tyrese Maxey cause you all problems tonight?
Yeah, I think he's an all-star. He's one of the young, upcoming players that is playing. You know, I've always said this about him. He's always added something to his game. He's figured out how to score 30. He uses his teammates well, and so he's playing extremely well for them right now.
Jason, you got it down to 4 there early in the fourth quarter. I mean, Grimes hits the three-pointer. Just talk about his shot making tonight.
Yeah, that was Maxey who created those shots. You know, when you have someone that dynamic, you know, you're going to have to give up something. And Grimes, for his teammates, they benefit from that. And you can see with Maxey being able to handle with his speed and his ability to score. You pay attention to him, he makes you pay, he finds the shooters.
What did you see out of AD as he returned tonight?
First game back, I thought he was good.
PJ Washington only took 6 shots, he made 3. Would you like for him to just take more shots?
We would like for him to take more shots. You know, I think he turned down a couple. But again, sometimes when you're not shooting the ball straight, you start to overthink things. And so for PJ, I thought him getting to the free throw line is a plus.
And then for Flagg, you know, 2 games, kind of where I guess the efficiency hasn't been up, but you talked kind of just about, you know, him being aggressive going into some games. He was real efficient early. You kind of like the looks and the aggressiveness he's shown early in games.
Yeah, I think he's playing extremely well. He's probably a little tired. You know, he's played a lot of minutes. This is the most minutes he's played in his career, more than he had in college. So you just look at the physicality. Again, I thought he found open teammates tonight. We just didn't knock him down.
I just thought our energy dropped. You know, we're hitting shots, turning the ball over, so just gotta do a better job taking care of it and get stops.
But despite that, you still were within 4 points of them with like 9 minutes ago in the game. You remember what happened after that as far as what the Sixers were able to do?
Yeah, I think, you know, they hit some timely shots. We didn't get the stops we needed. You know, I think we missed a bunch of easy ones tonight as well. That doesn't help, but yeah, I think just, you know, gotta get more stops and turn that into some offense.
Coach kind of talked about you playing, you know, at this point in the season, some of the most minutes you've ever played. Just in your basketball career for a season. Just overall, just how are you feeling?
I feel solid. You know, it's a lot of basketball. But yeah, I mean, I'm getting through it. You know, figuring out my routine more and more, and stuff that works, stuff that doesn't, and you know, I feel pretty good. Also, you know, there's days you feel tired, days you know don't feel completely 100%, but you know, you play through. You know, figure out how to play through it and be tough. So.
And then aggressiveness-wise, you've taken 15 or more shots back-to-back games. Is that kind of like something you've thought of pre-game, or just kind of the looks that you've been getting?
Yeah, just looks I've been getting. You know, just being aggressive. You know, I know it's good for the team, and you know that's what coaches and teammates are telling me. So just, you know, be myself. You know, just trying to impact the game.
When Najee Marshall comes out, he kind of has an aggressive off-the-bench moment. He had 7 points in 5 minutes in the fourth. How does that change the game for you guys?
Yeah, it changes it a lot. You know, we have guys step up, you know, make plays. You know, Najee does that a lot. You know, just being dynamic, getting downhill, getting to the rim, you know, shooting floaters. So when he's at his best, and you know, it's huge for us. You know, kind of gave us some energy, you know, going down that stretch.
And you and VJ, both rookies, is there like a rivalry kind of between you all, both top three picks?
I mean, you know, I wouldn't say it's a rivalry. I think obviously everybody knows, you know, with the awards and everything, you're always playing against each other, and you're put against, you know, those guys that are in your class. For for the rookie stuff. But you know, I got a lot of love for BJ. You know, we've competed at a really high level against each other for 3 years now. So it's just it's a lot of love and respect there. Just he's a competitor and a winner. At the highest level, and that always shines through. So I got a lot of respect for BJ and what he's been able to do this year. So yeah.
What sort of problem did Maxey pose tonight for you guys?
I think just the problem that he poses on a lot of teams is just his aggressiveness and assertiveness. On the offensive end, just being everywhere. Running off screens, getting downhill, using his quickness, change of pace, get to the foul line. Just doing a little bit of everything on that side of the ball. He's tough to slow down for sure.
Anything in particular you guys got to do in order to stop this losing streak?
Yeah, I think we just got to stay together. Come together and buy into our principles and get back to just playing both sides of the ball at a really high level and be okay.
Cooper, one thing that Max and Coach Kidd talked about is three-point volume. Individually for you, do you feel like your three-point volume is where you want it to be, or do you think it should increase moving forward?
I'd love to shoot more shots. Coach gives us a green light. I'm gonna take the open ones. For me, obviously, I think it's night-to-night basis as far as you got to know the personnel and how teams are playing. But if that's a shot they're gonna give me, I'm confident I'm gonna take the shot. So I think I have passed up on some throughout this year so far, but I think going forward, just continue to just take the looks that I want to get and not letting the defense dictate me at all, but just playing the basketball I want to play and the shots I want to get. So yeah, I think I could take more for sure, but I think our whole team can as well. Coach give us a green light. Everybody can shoot it. We think everybody is very capable of making shots. So yeah.
Yeah, like you said, with Coach saying that he does want you guys shooting more threes, of course he explained how you could go about increasing your volume. But what sort of ways has he preached to y'all that he wants, and what ways are y'all going to increase your volume as a team and shoot more? Because that's something that he preached that he wants y'all to do.
Just finding our sprays. We take a lot of tough middies, tough twos, collapse the defense. So I think we can just get better at finding our sprays, finding guys in the corners, and just drive and kick a little bit more. I think that can help us. But it's got to play. It's not something we can force and just say we want to just go chuck a bunch of threes. That's not going to be productive either. So it's got to play, put pressure on the rim, while knowing that we can find our shooters and kick it out. But something to think about for sure.
You guys that cut it down to 98-94 there early in the fourth quarter. What happened?
They were just making shots. They made some. Embiid had some tough, free throw line jumpers. Grimes hit a couple threes. They were just playing good basketball. They were making shots down the stretch, and so, I thought we played solid defense, but offense in this league is superior to defense sometimes. So I think that was just what happened tonight.
How difficult is it to stay in front of Maxey when he has so much speed and so much talent?
Yeah, very difficult. He's very, very fast, obviously, but he's very skilled as well at the same time. He's able to, stop on a dime, and he's able to shoot and score from all three levels. So he's a tough cover for sure. It requires 5 guys, not just one guy. So he's always a tough cover, but that's a credit to him. He's a great player. So
You've always kind of struggled tonight, 21 beyond mark. What kind of offense are you looking to generate when 3 balls in the ball?
Yeah, I think getting in the paint, obviously, maybe getting to the free throw line a little bit. But I think again a goal for us is we got to take some threes, 28 to their 36. And so I think we just got to find a way to get more up, and then when they're not falling from night to night, getting in the paint, getting the free throw line, finding ways to still generate good offense. I think that's key for us.
Coach Kidd was in here. One thing that he talked about as well is wanting to get y'all's three-point volume kind of trend y'all towards the bottom of the league when it comes to threes per game. What are some ways that you think y'all can start getting some more threes moving forward?
I think me personally, sometimes I pass a few up, kind of like those in-betweeners where the defender is kind of there, but he's really not close enough. So I think that's a steady improvement for me to continue to try and shoot those in-betweeners. But You know, I think for us, when we get in the paint, you know, really well, I think we need to continue to do that and have the defense collapse and spray out to corners and wings and shoot threes. But, you know, I think for me personally, there are times where I pass them up, you know, those in-betweeners, and, you know, we just gotta have a conscious effort, maybe run, you know, a couple more actions to get, you know, more three-point volume. So, yeah, we gotta look to shoot more threes in particular, obviously. So.
With you being one of the top three-point shooters percentage-wise in the league this year, over the last year now, what has it been like working with Klay Thompson, a proven sharpshooter and someone who's...
Yeah, no, he's been great. Obviously, you know, beyond basketball too, he's a great individual person. He's a great, you know, vet, someone that I lean on a lot for a lot of stuff outside of basketball. But, you know, obviously his superpower is his three-point shooting, and so for me, just being able to be around him, you know, just seeing how he shoots the ball, how he, you know, sets his feet, his mindset, and all sorts of stuff. Just being able to observe him has obviously really helped me so far this year. I think, you know, you can give a big credit to him for how well I'm shooting it too. So he's just been great for me in my career so far.
Of course, Klay is known for his three-point shooting, but is there something you can put your finger down that you've learned from him over the last 10 months that you think has helped your shooting elevate?
Outside, I think just his mindset, to be honest, his mindset towards shooting, and how, you know, regardless of if he's shooting well or not, you know, his ability just to kind of have a short-term memory and continue to you know, fire it away when he's open. And I think that obviously that mindset has gotten him to, you know, what is going to be, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame eventually. And so, you know, for me, I think continuing that where, you know, if I make, you know, don't make my first few, or, you know, I'm getting tough looks, just continuing to have that short-term memory, continuing to be aggressive, continuing to look for my shot, because, you know, not only does it help me, but, you know, when teams, you know, maybe some jumps out, I'm able to hit the roll man, and we get other shots that way as well. So I think just being aggressive is something I've learned from him, his mindset towards that.
In your opinion, is there one or two things you guys got to do on Saturday against Houston to turn this thing around?
I mean, I think just continue to stick with the process, just continuing to see what we can do better. You know, I can't pick two things right now. I got to watch this game and see what we can do better from this game, and just go from there. So, not necessarily worried about the games in the past. We're going to look at this game tomorrow and learn from it, and, you know, see where we can improve. But, you know, there's positives and there's negatives like there is for any team in any game. So, just continuing to do that, continuing to assess the situation, and trust the process.
Does the game change when Najee kind of comes out with an aggressive takeover, 5 minutes in the fourth and 7 points? Like,
Yep.
what's different about that Najee?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player, and obviously he lives in the paint. I think he's one of the best in the league. You talk about field goal percentage in the paint, so his ability to just get in the paint and be able to score, obviously, at a high level. He's got to the free throw line a few times, I think, tonight, or you know, once or twice. And, you know, just his ability to kind of carve through the defense. And obviously he's a great scorer in the paint, but teams are going to collapse too when the ball gets in the paint, and that can lead to more open threes like we talked about earlier with three-point volume. So he's a great player, you know, regardless of, you know, where he's at, you know, starting or on the bench, and, you know, his ability to just come and impact the game regardless. So he's big for us, and obviously we continue to look to him to give us sparks and continue to give us an offensive push for sure, as well as, you know, he's a great defender too. So.
What did you think about Anthony Davis' first game back?
I thought he was great. I mean, I thought he was good. You know, he did a good job. I think his defensive presence, again, is something that I think, you know, isn't obviously showing up on the stat sheet, but his ability just to deter defenders, his ability just to be, you know, every time a defender or an offensive player goes to the basket, you know, they're thinking about him around the rim. And obviously teams are trying to take him out of the game on offense with double teams and showing him bodies and whatnot. And I think his ability just to pass out of those double teams, his willingness as a passer, and just his leadership for us is always good. So it's always good to have him out there.
Max, when looking at your stats from November to December, I feel like in December your three-point percentage was way up, but in November your volume was up a little bit more. So when comparing those 2 months, one thing that Coach Kidd seems to always talk about is just how you have the green light and how sometimes he even wants you to shoot more shots.
Yep.
Do you feel like you're wanting to increase your volume, specifically just you more, and how can you do that moving forward?
Yeah, you know, like Coach Kidd says, I think us as a team as well, we need to shoot more threes, and I think, you know, that starts with, I would say, everybody, but, including me, obviously, I want to get my three-point volume up. Like you said, I haven't really looked at the months and the differences, but definitely needing to just shoot more, like I said, those in-betweener shots where the defender is there, but he's really not, close enough. So, I want to get my volume up, obviously. I think, whatever I'm shooting from three is a pretty good number, and so I think that means I need to shoot more. So, helps the team that way when I'm, knocking down threes for us like that. So, absolutely, want to try and get that volume up, in a way that helps the team.